Chapter 166 Absorbing Ultimate Treasures. Looking at the long list of messages, he frowned and had Tintin summarize. It's from your family, friends, and subordinates. The Moonlight Empire is just as usual, there is nothing new, Tintin stated. Oh, but it seems that there's a girl who's quite fond of your son, Nathan, Tintin gossiped. Oh? It's Zoe with a rank 8 talent. Your son seems to be asking if you could bring the girl here to study. It's indeed my son. Maximus didn't ask anything and just smiled at Nathan's initiative. You should have fixed it earlier. I've already done it, host. Zoe has already been studying and living here for 2 weeks, Tintin said proudly. Although Maximus's token was not connected to the outside world. A sub-token was still active in which Tintin could manage the guild, his family, and the empire. After all, Maximus's status had significant uses. It could not stop just because he was in seclusion. What else? Maximus asked about the other messages. Your friends just want to know if you're okay. There's also Ragnar, who messages you almost every day inviting you to fight. It looks like Ragnar will have to wait a bit longer. Maximus hadn't even started his training, he had just finished upgrading his talent. Continue. The Shadowhunter Guild is running smoothly, there's nothing new. Oh, for your family, it looks like your kids, Liam and the others, are getting bullied. Bullied? Them? Liam and the others were already in grade 3, which is for children aged 10 to 29. Maybe due to the age gap they were being bullied. But he was still puzzled with the strength and foundation of his children. There should be no one in the same tier who can defeat them. They're just being bullied, I didn't say they lost. Although some injuries are inevitable, they also built a famous reputation. Oh? What name? There are many. Like devils incarnate, sons of the blood devil, handsome devil, and goddess incarnate. Tintin began to share gossip she had heard. Maximus frowned at the use of devil in the names. Why does it have devil? It may be because they scared everyone, Tintin suggested. During an exercise outside the city of Arcana, at a Tier 2 resource point, a group of people ambushed Liam and the others. Lame and the other quickly caught into this and beat them back. Those people didn't stand a chance. If it weren't for the safety precautions of the instructors, they might have even died. Tintin projected a recording of the scene. Good. They've improved tremendously. Besides training, they were also using the tailored cultivation technique he had given them, giving them an edge and an overwhelming advantage. Maximus even saw his son, Max, finally beat Ella. Unfortunately, it seemed that the little girl got nervous and asked for a Tier 9 treasure from her Apex Sovereign grandpa. This caused Max to return to being beaten by her. Just hold on, son. Wait for Dad to make some money, Maximus sighed. The weakest Tier 9 treasure costs hundreds of trillions, which is not something he can afford. By now, his shop in the Myriad World Mall has stabilized. There is no longer a rush to grab books. And supply is sufficient. Maximus can only earn about 100 trillion per month. Firstly, this is because once those interested have bought it, they don't need any more. Secondly, it's because the books he sells are only Tier 0 to Tier 5, which are low tier. Thirdly, other businesses have caught on to his business model. Huge Shops has bought the copyright of many books with transcendent insight and is selling them. After all, with almost infinite dimensions, there are more or less people who have reached a transcendent mastery in some technique. These techniques are just too scattered that it didn't cause much sensation. However, it seems that his shop has started a trend. Now, the once inconspicuous books with transcendent insight are like gold mines. Their copyright fees have skyrocketed, causing a bunch of geniuses to start grinding for techniques, spells, and skills. They hope to reach transcendent mastery and become rich in one go. After sifting through the messages and seeing that there was nothing particularly important or new, he began to officially start his training. First, absorb these Tier 0 ultimate treasures. Maximus took out Tier 0 ultimate treasures. These 11-18 Tier 0 ultimate treasures cost him a few hundred million. Usually Tier 0 items didn't even cost a gold coin. However, although they are just Tier 0 materials, they are ultimate in quality. They embody the essence of the respective element in that tier. Maximus didn't even know if there were ultimate treasures in the ethereal realm. Soon, he began to absorb these Tier 0 ultimate treasures. Fire Elemental Lotus, Water Elemental Lily, Earth Elemental Core. 3 days later. Maximus exhaled slowly after absorbing the last treasure. Fire, he tried to conjure a tier 0 spell. So powerful? Maximus was shocked. Feeling the intensity of the spell, Maximus was sure it could disintegrate any tier 3 individual. A tier 0 spell defeating a tier 3 individual was like a dream. Continue, Maximus was not satisfied and took out 11-18 tier 1 ultimate treasures. This time it cost him a few billion. After absorbing all the ultimate treasures, he conjured a tier 1 spell. Maximus felt that the intensity of such a spell surpassed that of a week later. After absorbing all the ultimate treasures, he conjured a tier 1 spell. Maximus felt that the intensity of such a spell surpassed that of tier 4. Then he took out 11-18 tier 2 ultimate treasures. This cost him tens of billions. A month later, after trying a tier 2 spell, without a doubt it surpassed the intensity of tier 5. So strong, Maximus unconsciously muttered. This was just a tier 2 spell and it could already overpower someone at tier 5. Eager to start, Maximus took 11-18 tier 3 ultimate treasures. This cost him a few hundred billion. 2 months later, feeling his strength, he tried to cast a tier 3 spell. Damn! Although Maximus was prepared, he still felt palpitations from his spell. Without any reference, he could only estimate that his spell was comparable to that of tier 6. Who else? Maximus muttered arrogantly. This was just a tier 3 spell and he already felt invincible. Next. Maximus excitedly sifted through the myriad world mall looking for 11-18 tier 4 ultimate treasures. After buying all the ultimate treasures, Maximus looked at his empty wallet. So expensive, he frowned. Tier 4 was already on a different level, costing almost $1 trillion per tier 4 ultimate treasure. If not for his shop's accumulated income of more than $1 quadrillion, he might not have been able to buy all these ultimate treasures at once. I hope you don't disappoint me. 3 months later, Maximus felt an overwhelming strength after absorbing the last ultimate treasure. So tiring. Although it was fun to upgrade, Maximus still felt fatigued. Casting a tier 4 spell, he felt truly invincible. Although it might not crush tier 7 individuals as they had domains, Maximus was still confident that being hit by his spell was no joke. Looking at his pitiful few hundred trillion in money, he didn't continue to absorb treasures. Time to rest, Maximus was already tired. Ultimately, he still didn't begin his training. He just strengthened his foundation. Even the world's origin energy remained untouched. Without checking the accumulated messages, Maximus finally came out of seclusion. Is that you, husband? Isabel looked at him in a daze. They had barely seen their husband after he broke through tier 5. Especially in the last half a year, they hadn't heard from him at all. Miss me? Husband. Isabella jumped into his arms. Husband, I miss you. I thought you would still be in seclusion, Isabella said, hugging him tightly. How could I forget that you are about to give birth? Maximus smiled gently, touching her belly. That's right. Baby, your daddy is here to welcome you into this world, Isabella said sweetly. Just a few more months, baby, daddy is excited to meet you, Maximus replied. The baby seemed to respond as Isabel's stomach moved. It seems that the baby is also excited to meet you. By the way, where are the others? They are on the terrace, Isabella rolled her eyes. She thought that she and her husband could have some solo time for a while. Then let's go. I also miss the others, Maximus smiled and gave her a kiss. It should be, Isabella reconciled. Anyway, she couldn't do much with her big belly. Coming to the terrace, he was greeted by his shocked and joyful wives. Husband. I missed you. Moi. Ouch. You're holding the thing too tightly, Maximus winced in pain as his wives swamped him. What's wrong? Did you get soft after training, husband? How could I? Maximus held back his smile. Really? Really? Maximus swore. Then how about you show us how it's done, husband? His wives smiled mysteriously as they dragged him into the bedroom. Isabella, Emma, and Jane were left alone on the terrace. Why don't you join in? Isabella teased, looking at the two. Jane didn't reply as she sulked. Emma, who was about to follow Maximus, noticed Jane. What's wrong, Emma? You didn't really like that beast, did you? Jane asked. Jane is just jealous. Isabella put her arm around Emma's shoulder. Who wouldn't like my husband? Isabella teased and looked at them knowingly. That was just the influence of alcohol. Jane hurriedly refuted. Tier 9 wine was too strong that they had been fooled by Maximus. Why yes, Emma also nodded with a blush. I hope you can still say that in the future. Chapter 167 Marriage. The next day, Maximus woke up in the embrace of beauties. Good morning, Maximus muttered. Looking at their beautiful and peaceful faces, he couldn't help but smile. This should be how it's done, he thought. Thinking of his ascetic life, either fighting or training, he smiled wryly. Wasn't he training just to see his family happy and at peace? I still need to train harder, Maximus vowed. Times are always changing. If he were to become complacent, maybe the next day he wouldn't even see his family. Why are you frowning so early in the morning, husband? Erica opened her eyes and gave him a kiss. I'm just thinking about our future. Don't worry too much, we are also here, Erica comforted. The others also woke up comforting Maximus, showing their proud figures. Don't you notice something different from us, husband? Maximus looked at them carefully, trying to discern what change. Except for becoming more beautiful and powerful, there seemed to be no change. Huh? Maximus suddenly noticed how the mana interacted with them. You've upgraded your talent? As expected of my husband, you notice quickly. That's right. A month ago, we finally upgraded our talent to mythic rank. Even the kids are the same. I have to say, the origin drops you gave us are indeed effective. They had taken the origin drops uninterrupted for 5 years before reaching mythic rank talent from legendary talent. After becoming a student at the Origin Arcana Institute, Maximus no longer hid these things. Although the origin drop, which could upgrade talent, was rare, it was also available for purchase at the Institute. With his status, having a steady supply of it for his wives was not a problem. I'm glad I have you, Maximus smiled deeply. No, we were glad that we ever met you, husband. Soon they engaged in a quick battle. After that, Erica got up to prepare breakfast. Although, with their current strength, there was no longer a need for food, they still ate at least 2 times a day. It was good for training and laying the foundation. Furthermore, what was the point of being strong if they couldn't even eat decently? Went on to do their own things. Whether it was going on the celestial ascent path to train there. After breakfast, his children proceeded to school and his wives went on to do their own things. Whether it was going on the celestial ascent path to train their souls or studying in the Arcana library, they had their own things to do. Although they would have liked to spend more time with Maximus, they also had their duties. Now in the manor, only Maximus, Emma, and Jane were left. Are you bored at home? Maximus smiled. Maximus wanted to relax today, so he didn't think about training or fighting. No, we're fine here, Emma said. How can we be bored in your mansion? Jane rolled her eyes. Maximus's manor was literally an entertainment park. Due to various requests from his kids, his place was filled with all kinds of entertainment facilities. Fortunately, as a core student, the plot of land assigned to him was almost the size of a big city. What about we play? Maximus invited. What game? Jane asked, feeling somewhat bored. You decide, but the loser has to do something for the winner, Maximus smiled wickedly. You just had a bad thought, Emma muttered. Fine. Jane smiled and thought of something. How about we play Ethereum chess? Jane suggested confidently. Ethereum chess? It's a simple game. Here. Emma briefly explained the rules of the game. Oh, it's quite simple. It's roughly similar to chess but with more changes and variety. How is it? Are you ready? Jane asked. Sure. Soon, they clicked on a virtual application for Ethereum chess. Apparently, it's a famous strategy game in the Academy. Although the game didn't have the blessing of the world's origin, it was still quite famous. This world is quite unique, Maximus muttered. The world was pure white with gigantic pieces all over the place. It made the place solemn and majestic. How do we start? First, it will be you versus the 2 of us. Second, you will only have 1 piece, Jane stated. Huh? That's impossible. Emma exclaimed before Maximus. This game had more than 1,000 unique pieces. 1 versus 2 meant their pieces were double that of the opponent. Yet Maximus still had only 1 piece? Hey, we're here to win. Jane patted her friend. What about it? Are you scared? Jane provoked. Can I choose the piece? Sure, take all the time you want, Jane said confidently. With only one piece, it was impossible for Maximus to win. It's only a matter of time before you bow down to us, Jane thought. Looking at the confident Jane, Maximus just smiled. As Ethereum chess was unique in this realm, he went to the Arcana library for information. From rules, historical match play, techniques, records, etc. After choosing all that he could, he inputted into his mind. Using life points, he quickly mastered the game to transcendent mastery. I choose this. Maximus pointed at the weakest, most inconspicuous piece. Are you sure? Are you giving up? The piece that Maximus chose was just cannon fodder pawn. Let's see, Maximus smiled mysteriously. Humph. Soon the three got into position and clicked to start the game. Game start. With transcendent mastery, Maximus felt like he was bullying two newbies. The original cannon fodder piece seemed like a slippery eel that was hard to catch. It was cunning like a snake, striking down all of Emma and Jane's pieces into oblivion. At last, it turned into a demon king, overlooking all the crushed pieces and the two disbelieving players. Impossible. Is this still the same Ethereum chess I know? Is he the god of Ethereum chess? The passers-by who had originally come to watch some fun were dumbfounded. They saw the weakest pawn turn into a horrifying monster that devoured all the pieces as if it were nothing. Before they could react and ask some questions, Maximus dragged Emma and Jane out of their stupor and exited the game. Why you? You liar. You told us you didn't know the game. Humph, a smelly liar. Jane and Emma complained endlessly. Emma felt that she had been cheated out of her feelings. She had been worrying earlier because their advantage was too significant. Who knew they wouldn't even come close to defeating Maximus? Of course, it's impossible to defeat me, Maximus teased. You're just a liar. How can I lie? You cheated our feelings. Cheated your feelings? How can I? Humph, you took advantage of us, yet you didn't dare admit it. They suddenly remembered something and blushed. Oh? There is indeed this thing. How about I marry you two as payment? Humph, it's not that easy. You still want to cheat our feelings. Then how can I marry you too? You need to pay by doing something for us. What is it? How about you be our maid for the entire day? They still remembered how Maximus had treated them, which had been very embarrassing. Sure. Maximus smiled at how easy it was. You also need to wear this. Jane took out a maid uniform. What's this? You need to wear this, they teased. This had been their plan if they defeated Maximus. Unfortunately, Maximus had turned out to be a cheater. They could only make him submit by promising with their bodies. Later that day, his wives and children saw Maximus wearing the maid uniform. When the boys laughed at Maximus, they realized the meaning of the quote, like father, like the son. Soon, the boys also wore girls' clothing, which became their dark history after they had their own children. Thus, a generation of tradition was passed on, requiring boys to wear girl clothing as long as they saw this piece of dark history. A month later, in the Moonlight Empire, an empire-wide celebration was being held as the emperor was getting married. Various dignitaries from the Arinder Empire came to congratulate them. Despite some disagreements with Maximus in the beginning, thanks to their ongoing trade, which had helped them through difficulties, the Arinder Empire was very grateful to Maximus. There were also various envoys from different empires sending gifts. They also took their time to investigate the empire. TSK, what an ever-changing empire, they remarked. Although they had planted spies all over the empire, the spread of information was not as fast as the empire's changes. By now, there were already about 40 billion people in the Moonlight Empire. While it was incomparable to the trillions of people in the top empires, the growth rate of the Moonlight Empire's population still amazed them. Other low and medium-strength empires also tried to adopt the Moonlight Empire's strategy for boosting their population. Unfortunately, the high cost and settlement challenges thwarted their efforts. There was even an empire that was erased due to a riot by its own citizens. Now, unless they had absolute financial power, few dared to attempt what Maximus was doing. Chapter 168 Birth of Lux. Soon, Maximus, Emma, and Jane proceeded with their wedding. Walking along the altar, they vowed to love each other until the end of times. I've finally married you too, Maximus smiled meaningfully. Is this what you planned all along? Emma asked. You're indeed a shameless schemer, Jane added. The two softly pinched Maximus in retaliation. But you agreed regardless, didn't you? Maximus teased. It means my charisma is still effective, Maximus continued. You're just a shameless bastard. They blushed at Maximus's cheesy words. A few months after getting to know Maximus, they had already resigned themselves to their fate. From making them laugh to getting whatever they wanted, who could resist these traits? Maximus was also very sweet and endearing, making them blush all the time. It made them feel that this is what love should feel like. You're mine from now on, don't run. At the stand below, his wives laughed and congratulated their wedding. His wives didn't get jealous at the grandness of the wedding. Being with Maximus was already the greatest thing they could ever ask for. Furthermore, a wedding is the least fun thing to do when you are with your husband. Isabella, on the other hand, looked unnatural. She still hadn't officially married Maximus. Although they had taken vows and such, there was no celebration like this. Isabella understood that this was her wish, but looking at the unique ambience, she thought of asking Maximus for compensation. Humph, after you're born, I will drag your daddy to compensate me, Isabella thought, rubbing her belly. Maximus's children, on the other hand, were wearing beautiful clothes and talking lively at the stand. Daddy is so handsome today, Lily said. I knew Mommy Emma and Mommy Jane would be our mommies from the start, Syra proudly declared. So beautiful. I want to be even more beautiful when I get married, Serene said unconsciously. Why do you want to get married to wear beautiful clothes? Lila asked, puzzled. It's more beautiful like this, Lydia answered. Humph, I will never get married, Dad is enough for me, Lila refuted. On the other hand, the three pairs flirted in their own way. Amara. What? Amara. What? Amara. What? Amara was a little annoyed with Liam constantly calling her name without saying anything. Nothing, I just like to hear the sound of your name, Liam smiled. Tisk, stop being cringy, Amara blushed. Don't you like me calling your name? Liam still smiled and held her hand. I like it, Amara said inaudibly. What? Nothing? Looking at Liam and Amara flirting with each other, Ella got bored and poked Max forcefully. What's the matter? I'm bored, entertain me. What can I do? I don't know. Then you should behave yourself, I don't know how to entertain you either, Max exclaimed. What an insensitive idiot, Ella rolled her eyes and pinched Max forcefully. Hiss. What's wrong again? I just wanted to pinch you, Ella smiled happily. Fine, Max gritted his teeth and endured. Max vowed to train super hard and beat Ella into submission again. The last pair was Nathan and Zoe. Nathan stood like a statue while Zoe talked endlessly. Hey, Nathan, what should we eat after? Do you think I'm getting fat? Nathan, what do you think of my dress this time? Nathan dash. Nathan dash. Nathan dash. Straight face. Zoe asked endless questions, not minding if Nathan answered or not. She already knew the nature of this guy. Unless it's absolutely necessary, he will not speak. It was even a miracle that Nathan took the initiative to talk to her back then. With Zoe getting along with the Shadowcrest family, she unleashed her inner self. She longed for friends and someone to talk to. All her life, Zoe and her father were either escaping or hiding. Fortunately, now, after coming to the Moonlight Empire, the enemies hunting them seemed to have vanished. Nathan, thank you, Zoe said all of a sudden. MMM? Nathan looked at her puzzled. Zoe didn't answer and just smiled. Soon the wedding proceeded, with all the people of the Moonlight Empire having a celebration for 7 days straight. A few days later, after more than a month of resting and playing, Maximus was ready to train again. Meanwhile, Emma and Jane were taking the Origin Arcana Institute trial. After all, they were not even seekers, so there were a lot of things they couldn't do. Even with Maximus's core student status, he couldn't do much. Hug Maximus breathed. For now, he would not absorb Tier 5 Ultimate Treasure yet. Besides the lack of money, he also didn't want to miss Isabella giving birth. Let's start. The origin element is about bending all elements into an indestructible rope. Besides that, it's stronger than the usual elements combined into one. It's also the most time-consuming and energy-intensive path. Following the origin energy path, he began absorbing over 1 billion units of the world's origin. Soon, the mana in the surrounding area seemed to be sucked in by a black hole. Even the most mana-intensive environment couldn't supply enough mana for Maximus's cultivation. Fortunately, the dimensional source physique came in a timely manner. Although unlimited mana can't directly strengthen him, the uninterrupted supply of mana is enough. As for the world's origin that should be providing energy, it seemed to disappear, independently strengthening Maximus's control over all elements. Soon, while the world's origin was strengthening his control over elements, the uninterrupted mana supply tempered his physical body and soul. From every cell and particle of his blood to every piece of his soul, it seemed as though every bit of it had come to life. After being tempered enough, Maximus could survive even with a piece of soul and a drop of blood. With millions of cultivation manuals, Maximus took all their pros and tried his best to integrate them into the exercise. Origin is the most solid and diverse, encompassing all kinds of abilities. It got its name Origin as all kinds of abilities are integrated with it. It was only limited by elements, otherwise it could even copy all those unique physiques in all dimensions. Unfortunately, Maximus couldn't train in other elements besides what was in the Ethereum realm. It seemed that other elements were non-existent. No matter what Maximus tried, he couldn't feel them. Even when he bought an elemental crystal or liquid of that element, it would just vanish like it had never appeared. As long as an element that didn't belong to this world appeared, it would vanish. 3 months later, after absorbing over 10 million units of the world's origin energy, Maximus opened his eyes. "Huh?" Comfortable, Maximus exclaimed. This is not like absorbing an ultimate treasure at all. It seems that Maximus was bathing in a spring like a newborn baby. Time to help my lovely wives. Maximus calculated when Emma and Jane would reach the 999th step of the celestial ascent path. Just like in the past, he would also try to see if he could help them in the illusion trial. Looking at his system for interference, he didn't see anything. Huh? Did they already pass the trial? Maximus muttered in puzzlement. Connecting Tintin to the outside world, he asked for the news. Emma and Jane already passed the 1000th step, they were just waiting for the test to finish, Tintin said. Oh, as expected of my wives, Maximus nodded in satisfaction. With Emma and Jane's talent, passing the test is a breeze. Furthermore, they also stayed with Maximus in the city of Arcana for a few years, which tempered their souls. It looks like they didn't need my help. A week later, in the city of Arcana, Maximus Manor. Maximus and the others were looking at the new addition to the Mommy, your baby is so cute. Baby, I'm your big sister Syra. Family. Mommy, your baby is so cute. Baby, I'm your big sister Syra. Let me hug baby Lux. No, baby Lux is mine. The boys and the girls scrambled to pamper the newly born baby. Hey, don't scare Lux, he's my baby. Maximus pushed his kids aside and hugged Lux. Dad, you're a bully. You're already so old, leave us the baby. Dad, be mature for once. What? You're already grown up, you don't like your father anymore, Maximus said pitifully. Dad, don't be a dramatist. That's right, you already have us, leave us the baby. No, I will hug baby Lux for a while. Maximus didn't give in. So what if he's bullying his children? His is his baby and it's his right. Looking at the cute baby, he felt it was worth it. Isabella, who had just given birth, smiled brightly. Looking at the lump of flesh that had just come out of her body, her love seemed to overflow. Kissing the baby's cheek, Maximus finally looked at his son's status. Lux Shadowcrest. Potential, rank 8 supreme. Lux's potential was inherited from him and supplemented by various treasures. Unfortunately, Lux was conceived too early. If he had been conceived when Maximus had tier 9 talent, the chance of Lux inheriting it would have been high. Don't worry, Lux, there's still a long time in the future, Maximus thought. Chapter 169 Dimensional Treasury. Half a year later. Maximus slowly opened his eyes, concluding his training. Huh. I don't know when I'll reach tier 6, he muttered, looking at his progress. Tier 5, 0.22%. TSK, using tens of millions of the world's origin energy, I didn't even reach 1%. Maximus could absorb about 2 to 3 million units of origin energy every month. However, he paced himself, absorbing only 2 million units every month to make time for his family. As for the rate at which he absorbed the world's origin energy, there was nothing he could do. Hurrying and dumping a lot of the world's origin into himself would indeed hasten his training progress. But it would also waste a lot of energy. 2 to 3 million was already the balance point he had calculated, without wasting energy and delaying his training. Exiting his training room, he was greeted by his child. "Daddy, you're finally done with your training." Lux ran to him happily. Although he was only half a year old, Lux could read, talk, and run. Due to his rank 8 talent and the environment's high mana intensity, Lux already looked like a 3-year-old kid. Unfortunately, Lux had missed the Lumina Chrysalis enrollment, so he needed to wait another year before going to school. Now, Lux was alone with Maximus in a huge manner. "Did you miss me, Lux?" "I missed you, Daddy. You took so long to train." Lux complained. In reality, it had only taken Maximus half an hour to train. He usually trained when his wives were here in the afternoon or at night. "What did you do while I was training?" "Oh, I counted the magic crystals in the vault room. It's 1,221,423. It's so little, Daddy, you should put more money in the vault." Lux pouted. "It's not that little, Lux. Daddy is so poor and can't put more money in the vault." The money in the vault room was top-grade magic crystals worth 10,000 times more than low-quality magic crystals. Lux had belittled 12 billion worth of magic crystals like it was nothing. "You should hurry and grow up and support me," Maximus teased, faking tears. He didn't know why his child, Lux, was so obsessed with money. From the time he was a few weeks old, Lux had shown a fascination with money. Asking questions about different currencies, how to earn them, how they were stored, and more. Maximus had even thought that Lux might be a reincarnation of some being. But a deep scan by the system revealed nothing of the sort. Instead, Lux had a hidden physique, the dimensional treasury, which reached the dimensional level. Normal, heaven/God, dimensional, ultimate. This physique granted ultimate luck when it came to money. Furthermore, the higher the amount of your possessions, the greater the strength and potential. Maximus was shocked when he discovered this. After some inquiry from the system, he learned that Lux absorbed some unique energy when he activated his physique. "Don't worry, Daddy. After I'm done looking for loopholes in the rules of the arcane continent, we'll be rich." Lux's eyes lit up. "Sigh, don't take that crooked path, Lux. There's no way there will be loopholes in the laws of the arcane continent," Maximus discouraged. It's not that Maximus is against the crooked path. In fact, he had also studied the law in the arcane continent. Using life points, he had mastered it through transcendence. However, all the loopholes he had seen were for the strong. It seemed that the law was only for the weak. Without enough power, exploiting the laws of the arcane continent was just a daydream. I will not give up. Just give me time. In the future, the people of the arcane continent, or rather the world, will open their pockets to me." Lux vowed as he clenched his fist. "I do hope that happens," Maximus said, rubbing his head. "Hee, at that time, Daddy can just relax at home with mommies." By the way, it seems that the ship's blueprint is done, Maximus finally recalled. He had been notified yesterday by Andrew, the vice-guild leader of his guild. "Do you want to come?" "Is it the money-making ship?" Lux asked eagerly. His father had told him about the ship that would travel the chaotic sea to collect resources. "No, it's a sea hunter ship." "It's all the same, it is to earn money anyway," Lux insisted. "But what's mine is mine," Lux murmured as he snickered. "Fine, do you want to come?" "Of course, how can I miss my future sea caravan?" "That's mine, not yours," Maximus rolled his eyes. "Daddy, what's yours is mine, it's all the same," Lux refuted. "But what's mine is mine," Lux murmured as he snickered.
"What's that?"
"Nothing, I'm just excited," Lux shifted the topic. "Oh," Maximus looked at him meaningfully. "Shadowhunter City." "Boss, you're finally here." Andrew greeted. "Oh, is this young Master Lux, boss?"
"I'm Lux."
"You're really a cute kid. Here are some trinkets," Andrew smiled and gave him some gadgets. Worth 3 top magic crystals, not bad, Lux quickly assessed the price. "Boss, your child is a bit unique," Andrew noted, hearing Lux mutter. "Don't mind this money grubber. Anyway, let's go see the blueprint that took almost 5 years to make." "Sure, boss." Soon, they arrived at a heavily protected room. Inside was an ether core projecting the entire ship blueprint. "Maximus, you're here," Silas, who was tinkering with something, noticed them. "I heard that you've finished the blueprint of our ship." Taking a brief look, Maximus saw the perfection of the ship's blueprint. "I barely did anything." This is the result of a few Tier 8 shipbuilders we hired, as Silas didn't take the credit.
What do you mean?
I heard that you're the one who perfected the ship, Maximus said with a smile. With Silas's miraculous physique, the ship's blueprint was pushed to the peak of this world. Given enough time, heaven's reward's only limit is this world. It's almost the same as his life points where you could master anything given enough time. His life points is just more efficient and easy to use. Thanks, Silas replied. He was indeed the one who perfected the ship, spending a few million years in the time dilation chamber. He had nearly gone crazy, as all he could think about was a ship. Sometimes he even forgot his name. This was also the danger of time dilation. Although the maximum time dilation was 1,000,000 to 1, few dared to do such a thing. Without an indestructible will, you would not even survive for a day. This was also why Maximus assigned Silas for such a job. Although he could do the same with his life points, the cost would be enormous. Now that we have a blueprint, it's time to build this thing, Maximus said.
Ha ha ha, the Shadow Hunter is finally close to setting sail.
Andrew livened the atmosphere.
For the richness of the world.
Lux suddenly added.
For the Shadow Hunter Guild.
Andrew smiled and provoked Lux. Is this your kid? Silas finally looked at the child Max was carrying.
Indeed, how is it? Do you also want one?
Maximus teased. This Silas is a century-old iron roster who didn't see girls as girls. Even Ragnar, who was only over 20 years old, already had a wife. I would think about it once I reached the apex, as Silas said confidently. Having a partner now would only hold him back. Just 1 year in the time chamber would wipe out his feelings. Why bother looking for someone you would forget sooner or later? Good luck with that. By the way, here's what I promised. Maximus tossed him a ring.
Is this thing real? Try it, and you will know.
Silas didn't reply and bound the ring to his soul. Silas Rusthammer. Strength, Tier 5 Mage/Knight, 12.43283%. Potential, Rank 8 Supreme, Heaven's Reward, 1.26372%. Soul Amplitude, 1,100,000%. Soul Will, 1,100,000%. Knowledge Mastery. Shipbuilding, Tier 9, 99.88889%. Mechanics, Tier 6, 24.48293%.
It's real.
Silas muttered silently as he looked at all his mastered knowledge. How is it?
Are you satisfied?
Maximus smiled. This is a status ring, a Tier 9 treasure, which had cost him tens of trillions. It only had one function, to tell everything about you. This is what he promised Silas as long as he was satisfied with the ship's blueprint. Sometimes Silas couldn't keep up with the pace of how he learned new things, often wasting time. The status ring suited him perfectly, so he could know his progress in minute detail. Thanks, I owe you one. This is how it should be, Maximus waved his hand. Compared to how many life points he had saved, tens of trillions of magic crystals were nothing. Daddy, can I also get one? Lux asked. Lux had just heard about the function of the status ring and found it quite convenient. Sure, Maximus thought for a while and agreed. It was indeed a convenient thing. He could see his progress through the system, but his family couldn't. This could also motivate them to progress. Furthermore, it was only a few tens of trillion. Compared to the hundreds of trillions of Tier 9 protection amulets he was planning to buy, it was pocket change. Thank you, Daddy, Lux kissed him.
Boss, can I also have one?
Andrew looked at him eagerly. Sure, for 100 trillion, you can have one, Maximus smiled. After all, he still had to profit. He also didn't want to spread it too much, exposing the system. Fortunately, once it's bound to your soul, no one can investigate the tier of the status ring. Otherwise, people would doubt how he could get a Tier 9 item. Boss, never mind. Chapter 170 Tier 5 Empires Array. A year later, Maximus's progress was going smoothly. Tier 5, 0.46%. How time passes. A year had passed with not much happening. This year, he continued to train, fought to accumulate the world's origin, spent time with his wife's family, and managed his empire and guild. With the repetition of these activities, Maximus perceived that time was moving at a much faster rate. His children were already growing into adulthood without him knowing. His wives also passed the test and became official students. As for the Golden Gate trial to become special students, Maximus prevented them from taking it. With his help, they didn't lack many resources, and putting themselves in danger for something redundant seemed stupid. As he was reminiscing, his token vibrated.
What is it?
Maximus didn't bother to take a look and just asked Tintin.
It's the Empire Array. It's already finished.
Oh, they've upgraded the Empire Array to Tier 5, huh?
Very well, just activate it.
I will visit the Empire later when I have time, Maximus said lazily. Right away, host. Tintin rolled her eyes at her host's laziness. In Moonlight Empire, the disturbance of the mana shocked most of the citizens.
What happened? Is it Doomsday? Is there someone fighting nearby?
The people panicked as if it were the end of the world. But as time passed, people noticed that the concentration of mana became higher and higher.
Hey, what is there to be scared about?
This is just the Empire Array being upgraded. A native of Moonlight Empire, who had been calm from the beginning, jeered at them. The Empire's population back then was not even 1 billion. But now there were about 60 billion, occupying almost all the land of the Sunburnt Plateau. Being here at the very beginning made the man proud.
What do you mean?
The people look at him intently.
You're just new here, so you don't know.
Do you remember the Tier 6 individuals who were working in the city a few months ago?
Yes.
That's right, they came here to upgrade the Empire's array. This also happened 5 years ago when the Empire Array was upgraded to Tier 4. I guess the array is now being upgraded to Tier 5, the man said arrogantly. The news brought shockwaves to all the people in the kingdom. Soon, reactions from people were all over the Moonlight Forum. Hey, the Empire Array was upgraded to Tier 5 quite fast. Ha ha ha, praise the greatness of His Majesty. Does that mean we could plan higher-tiered plants? You should work on your abilities first. Without skill, how dare you plant high-tiered plants? Tier 5 array means my training will be faster from now on. Praise your majesty. That's right. The kingdom where I was previously only had Tier 1 or 2 scrap arrays that didn't even provide mana for training. Those above, even with more intensity of mana, if your talent is trash, there is nothing you can do. The man mocked the mana you can absorb is according to your talents. Without talent, even in the most mana-intensive environment, your training progress will still be like a turtle crawling. Hey, am I the only one waiting for another update to the token applications? I'm also waiting. The Moonlight map update earlier was very convenient. That's right. The only pity is that it can be used to peek at my beautiful neighbor.
Ban the pervert upstairs.
Bonukilens venkilens. Soon, the man was automatically banned, sending waves of cheers.
Ha ha ha, that's what happens to perverts.
By the way, the Empire Array is already Tier 5. Does that mean that Tier 5 individuals will also come to us? The Empire Array had automatic defense, attack, and various auxiliary functions. This is also why even those arrogant Tier 4 individuals came here. They held their tempers. Once you're locked by the Empire Array, there is nothing you can do but wait for the Imperial Guards. Then, according to the severity of your actions, the court will judge how much and how long your sentence will be.
Does this mean new business opportunities?
Those people at higher tiers are quite rich. Ha ha ha, they are also easy to slaughter. The one upstairs, are you the one who scammed several Tier 4 individuals a month ago?
What do you mean by scam?
I'm doing legal business, otherwise I would already be eating prison food right now.
Boss, teach me your ways.
How do you scam those people? Hehe. Soon, people actively talked about the future of the Moonlight Empire and various daily stories they encountered. The spies of various empires also reported about the advancement of the Empire Array. Arinder Empire. Upon hearing the news, Emperor Akash couldn't help but click his tongue. Is this what a rich empire should be? He muttered enviously. Most of the top empire arrays are only at Tier 5, not because it's all they can afford. It's because at the beginning, before the era of imperial domination, there wasn't much use to a higher-tiered array besides showing off. Now, various top empires are also upgrading their arrays to Tier 6 and above. However, their progress is not as fast as the rapidly rising Moonlight Empire. They haven't even completed 1% of the array. Besides the size of the Empire Array, the top empires were not like Maximus, spending money like water just to hasten the Empire Array's progress. After learning that the Moonlight Array had reached Tier 5, Emperor Akash negotiated with Maximus if he wanted to accept Tier 5 individuals into his empire. After some negotiation, Maximus agreed to pay 100 million magic crystals for each Tier 5 individual. However, their contract was much more strict. Instead of just staying in the Moonlight Empire with nothing to do, these Tier 5 individuals needed to provide value to his empire. They needed to work for him for at least 1,000 years, of course with pay. A week later, Maximus finally had the time to visit his empire, overlooking 7.8 billion kilometers of his empire's land. He saw various constructions where creating a prototype city was only a matter of days. Millions of flying boats were transporting people all over the place. A large tract of land was filled with all kinds of plants, providing an overwhelming amount of food for the empire. Hundreds of millions of soldiers were training in an orderly fashion. The Moonshadow Academy, which served as a gathering place for the most talented people in the empire. Time has passed. I didn't know that my empire would reach this level in just a few years, Maximus sighed. As he looked at the empire's only port, he frowned. It's too crowded. Flying to his castle, he thought about this problem. Maximus acknowledged. Call Doran, he said to the guard in the palace. Soon, Doran came in hurriedly. I've met your majesty. Maximus acknowledged. I'm here to talk about the ports, Maximus began. Why is there only one? When do you plan to construct other ports? Doran quickly apologized, realizing his negligence. After all, the only ones who came here to the Sunburnt Plateau were the Starsea Traders' Sea Caravan and the Arinder Empire Sea Caravan. The barren port city can easily take this load without much burden. That's why Doran hadn't thought about adding more ports. Alright, I know, I also forgot about this. You should begin construction immediately. I want the whole surrounding area of Sunburnt Plateau to be surrounded by our ship. But, Your Majesty, the money? Don't worry, I will provide you with unlimited funds. Just make sure to do everything perfectly. As ordered, Your Majesty. Furthermore, the land in Sunburnt Plateau is running out of space, Maximus expressed his concern. He estimated that the maximum capacity of the Sunburnt Plateau is about 500 billion people. But to ensure there is enough space, he would limit it to 100 to 200 billion. I will give you 3 years to train our own navy. We can't always rely on Starsea Traders, Maximus continued. Although Cedric and Starsea Traders were his own, he had other plans for them. In 3 years, I want our navy fleet to conquer the entire Sunsea region. If there is not enough land, then conquer the surrounding sea area. As you ordered, Your Majesty, Doran said excitedly. They were finally adding the map to the Moonlight Empire territory. What about the transportation of people, Your Majesty? Should we continue? Of course, why not? Conquering the Sunsea region will take 4 to 5 years. Why waste such time? Maximus smiled. Indeed, Doran nodded. The waste here was the amalgamation of will. It was indeed a waste of time not to strengthen the amalgamation of will in these few years. A month later. Finally created the Tier 6 chapter of Origin, Maximus muttered. With hundreds of millions of life points. He had finally thoroughly mastered all Tier 6 techniques, spells, and skills, creating the Tier 6 chapter of Origin. Now I can also sell these Tier 6 knowledge that I've studied. Maximus said excitedly. His shop's income had been decreasing from over 100 trillion per month to now over 50 trillion. With the addition of Tier 6 techniques, spells, and skills with transcendent mastery and sight, he would finally have enough money to buy Tier 5 ultimate treasures and become invincible.